Well, let me be the next person to say good morning, Obi-Wan. Good to see you guys today. You guys doing well? You glad that most of you have off tomorrow? Or I hope most of you have off tomorrow. Maybe there's a few sad ones, but hopefully most of you have off tomorrow. Hopefully you have some good plans coming. So on the count of 3, you have to shout me your plans so that I hear all of them, okay? Whether it's barbecue, it could be like you're sleeping all day. It could be I'm doing nothing. Isn't it just amazing sometimes that we can do nothing, right? It's awesome. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I think I heard my wife, I hope it was my wife, said, I'm going to be with you. So, woo, that's good. If it wasn't, my wife's here, so you'll have to I'm having a good time with you. I'm glad that we have this weekend to be able to rest, and thank you for being here today. If you don't know me yet, my name's Chris. I'm one of the pastors here. I wanted to start out with a question just to get you thinking. Have you ever talked with someone that gave you a different perspective than you? Like it helped you see the world just in a whole different way, at least in that moment. Whether it's a kid, you start connecting with a kid, and they just, I don't know, their innocence, their purity, their childlike faith, whatever it is, they show you their world through their eyes, right? Or how about a senior, connecting with a senior, and you're just like, wow, there's so much wisdom there. There's so much life experience, and you see the world differently because they're sharing it through your eyes. Or how about someone that's further along than you, further along in your career, further along in your marriage or your singleness or your parenting, your schooling, whatever, and they give you a wisdom to just keep persevering and that this won't last forever. I remember Robin for many years, she would, if she knew that a marriage lasted over 20 years, she would say, so what's your secret? That was probably her desperate way of saying, help me, I can't put up with this guy. Just tell me something that will help me to keep going, right? But she used to ask people that were further along, what's the secret? How have you done something like this? No matter who it is, whether it's a kid, a senior, someone further along, they see things differently than you do. And I'm here to encourage you today. So does God. And I'm really excited to share with you how. So I want you to listen as we explore the concept of God seeing things differently than us. In Isaiah 55, guys, this is so awesome. This is one of my favorites. It doesn't have to become one of your favorites, but I hope it encourages you as we read it together. Listen in it. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Listen to this. It's so good. It's so good. I want you to think about the earth, and then I want you to try to figure out how, we're going to talk about this in a moment, but how far heaven is away. It says, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher. Everybody say higher. Higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. In ID, The True You, Pastor Mark Batterson shares on God's thoughts being higher, say it, higher than ours, just as the heavens are higher than the earth. Listen in. This is so good. And there's going to be some numbers on the screen if you can't follow, but this is so good. He says this: spatial distances are almost incomprehensible, but let me give it a shot. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second. All of us know that from school, right? Some of us remember that. Light waves are so fast that you can have a real-time, because of light going this fast, light waves are so fast that you can have a real-time conversation with someone halfway around the world. The sun is approximately 93 million miles from Earth, okay? You're seeing that, following so far? If you got into your car and started driving 65 miles per hour, because everyone obeys the speed limit, right? I know none of us do, including me. But if we started driving 65 miles per hour, 24 hours a day, so 24/7, no breaks, it would take 163 years to get to the sun. Wow. Whoa, but traveling at the speed of light? Our sunshine is only 8 minutes old. 163 years, 8 minutes old. Following me so far? Okay. He says, stick with me. Astronomers have discovered galaxies 12.3 billion light years away. That means it takes light traveling at not 65 miles per hour, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, more than 12 billion years to reach the outer edges of space. And God says in Isaiah 55, 8-9, that's about the distance between your thoughts and my thoughts. Wow. We have an amazing Father who we can trust, because his perspective is at least 12 billion years greater than ours. And that's why it doesn't matter if this is your first time here and you're trying to discover God, you can connect with him today, and he can connect with you in a new and fresh way. But if you've been in God since you were 9 years old, there's still more. There's still more. There's still more to this heavenly God that we love. And I encourage that today. Whether this is your first time and you barely know about God, or you grew up in the church and you've been every week since, there's more. 12 billion years. So let's go to the Lord's Prayer to discover more about his perspective. In Matthew 6, it says this: "This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name." You see, he's a father in heaven. And one reason his perspective is greater is because it's heavenly. And with him having a heavenly perspective, when we connect with him, not just hear about him. That's why this series is talking with God, connecting with God. When we connect with him, one benefit we receive is that he treats us better than anyone else can. And on our own, we only have a human perspective, and we're only used to how humans respond to us. So when we connect with him, when we connect with our heavenly dad, and he treats us better than anyone else can, it takes trust. Let me explain. Guys, we're so used to humans responding to us. So what do we usually have to do? Earn favor? Walk up the career ladder, earn love. And there's nothing inherently wrong with those things. But that's why it's so hard to believe sometimes. I really don't have to earn your grace? It's that good? You treat me so much better than anyone else. I don't even have to earn it. I just need to receive it? That takes trust. But it's true. Or you know what? We're so used to being loved conditionally. Maybe we start doing something for someone or serving someone in some way or meet our eventual spouse, whatever. And oftentimes those things start out conditionally, like, wow, they did that for me. Wow, they did that for me. There was a condition there that brought awareness to you. So it takes trust when we're like, God, you love me no matter what? Like this is how good you treat me? You love me no matter what? Or how about this one? God, you forgive me no matter what I've done. God, we live in a world that pulls up Instapost from 20 years ago and then calls people out on it. We don't even give people a chance to change. God, there are things that people would never forgive other people for. And you're telling me that if I ask, this is how good you treat me, if I ask you to forgive me, you'll forgive me no matter what I've done? You see how it takes trust. But one of the benefits when we connect with our Heavenly Dad is He treats us way better than anyone can. In fact, listen to this quote by Ann Voskamp. It's very simple, but I hope it's very powerful for you. Let it sink in, guys, because seriously, think about the difference here. The maker of the Milky Way knows you by your name. What? What? The one who holds it all together, the one who has named we can't even count all the stars. And God has named them all, and He doesn't forget yours. This is just how awesome our Heavenly Dad is. He's so powerful that He made the Milky Way. He's so personal that He knows you by name. That's incredible. You know, this is just so amazing about God. I thought it'd be really good, since we're in this series about connecting with God, that part of the message would be you connecting with God. Very original, right? So I want to part of the message today is just for you to connect with God. And do you know the maker of the Milky Way is in this room right now? Right now. And He knows everything about you. He's holding the stars together. He's the maker of the stars, and He knows every single thing about you, and His presence is here. So why not connect with Him in the middle of the message? Why not make it part of the message? So here's a couple questions to get you going to connect with God. Number one, what thoughts come to mind when you let this sink in? The person who made every galaxy knows you by name. He's not saying, "Who are you again? Can you please forgive me? I've named all the stars. There's like 7 billion people on this earth. Give me a little grace like I give you." What's your name again? He knows you by name. And then the second thing, or actually, you know what? Let's just separate this. Connect with God about that first one for a minute. We'll get to the second one in a moment. Before we move on to the second question, is one of the things that I felt God connect with me about. I wasn't even going to share this because I know He was going to connect with me, but he said something to the effect that I have 7 billion people to love, but I can still love you well. My love doesn't diminish. I want you to think about that as we're talking about Heavenly Dad, right? I want you to think about how many of you have kids? Multiple? Keep your hands up, multiple. Aren't there times where it's hard to love multiple at the same time? Doesn't the mama and papa guilt come out sometimes when even when we feel we've loved one well, now we're thinking about, oh, I didn't get to spend as much time with the other one. Right? That's real, right? It can be hard for us as parents to love too well at the same time. And God's so amazing. 7 billion people, I love them all, and I can love you well. My energy isn't diminished to give you the love that you personally need. Do you see the amazing heavenly dad we have? All powerful, very personal. Let's go to the second question. Let's keep connecting with God. As I've been talking about, our heavenly dad treats us better than others. What's one way you notice him treating you better? Maybe for some of you, just I've been noticing for a few years now. It's hard to believe this for a while, but I've been noticing that I can notice his love for me. And I'm starting to sense that more. So for some of you, it's just a moment to thank him. I didn't used to notice your love, God, but I'm starting to more. And then the second question is, what's one area where you struggle to trust him, but want to grow in believing he'll treat you better? Just to give you an example, it could be well, I know that God loves me, but I really don't know if he likes me. I don't know if he wants to be around me. Or what we talked about earlier, I know I hear about grace all the time, but then I slide back into trying to earn his love somehow. So why don't you take a couple more minutes, because again, connecting with God is a part of the message today. Why don't you take a couple minutes to connect with God about either one of those questions or, again, whatever's on your heart right now. I hope that was meaningful. God really is just such a powerful and personal God all at the same time. And with God having a greater perspective when we connect with him, as we've been talking about, one benefit we receive is that he treats us better than anyone else can. And another benefit we receive when we connect with him is that he gives us a wisdom that's greater. Listen into 2 Corinthians 4. It says this: "Therefore we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly," what is it saying that's happening inwardly? We're being renewed day by day. "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." So because of that, we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Now, to be clear, just because God has a different perspective than us doesn't mean he's out of touch with the way you're feeling or for what you're going through. I mean, listen into this verse in Psalm 34. It's pretty clear. It says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." Say that with me. He's close. He's close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Guys, he's not out of touch. His heavenly perspective doesn't keep him out of touch. He's close. Listen to this one. In 1 Peter, it says, "Cast all your anxiety on him." Why can we do that? Say it for me. Because he cares for you. And there's more than these verses in the Bible, but the bottom line is having a heavenly perspective doesn't mean God ignores your feelings or who you are or is somewhere out of touch. Our heavenly dad is close and he cares, but listen in, but also loves us too much to leave us where we are. That's why he gives us wisdom to help us move forward. But since we only see part of the picture and he sees the whole, it just doesn't always make sense. And this is why it's important to trust him. God, my view is partial, but you're a dad that sees everything. Like, you see everything. Help me to trust you. God, I've had that happen several times in my life, and I don't have a whole picture still, of course. I'm not God, but when I had a partial view, and then God helped me see a little bit more of a partial view, I'm like, oh, he knew what he was doing the whole time. Over here, I was questioning him with my limited partial view. Now that my view's a little, what? You knew it all. You knew what you were doing the whole time, even though my emotions were trying to lie to me. You see, he's close. When we're in this place, he's close. He cares, but he loves us too much to keep us there. So he keeps broadening our view, broadening our perspective. See, God knows we can lose heart. So as we connect with him, he comforts, but in time, he also gives us a heavenly perspective, reminding us our troubles won't last forever by pointing us to him and to our eternal home. He's like, hey, I know your struggles are hard. I empathize, I see them, I haven't forgotten you, but also know this, they won't last. And as you connect with me, I will give you comfort and strength, because I know that's what you need right now. But please trust me when I try to pass on a perspective to you so that you'll know there's a time coming where you'll never have to face these things again. The pain, for example, the pain that you feel, I'm here for you. I care about that. But I also want you to know there's a time coming where you'll never, ever, ever have to face that pain again. You see what he's doing? He's meeting you where you are, giving you comfort and strength. But in time, he moves us along and shares a heavenly perspective so we don't get stuck. And as God passes on these greater thoughts, these heavenly thoughts, he's hoping our response to him would be trust so we can move forward through any difficulty. But let's just be transparent. I was just trying to be transparent about mine. Sometimes it's difficult for us to be guided beyond where we are, right? Like, no, I want to stay here. I like my partial view. I like the view of the ocean where I can only see a quarter of it, God. It's difficult to be guided beyond where we are. And on top of that, God's ways often don't match human ways of doing things. We talked about that earlier in Isaiah, 12 billion more years of wisdom, at least. Let me give a couple examples. God, I've been, give a few here. I've been waiting for my wedding day, my graduation day, my having a kid day, or my career, whatever the thought process is, right? I'm trying to chase after and pursue these things. But you're telling me that I need to think about my soul? Like, do you know how important my career is? Do you know how important it is that I want this outward thing so badly, I'm willing to chase after it as much as I can? You want me to think of my soul? Takes trust. Or God, do you know how chaotic my marriage is? Do you know how chaotic my single life is? Do you know how chaotic my workplace is? Do you know how chaotic my world is? You want me to respond peacefully? Are you there, God? It's hard to be guided beyond where we are. Or how about this one? God, I think you know this, God, but I've been dealing with this difficult season for longer than I ever thought I would, and you're asking me to still be patient? it's hard to be guided beyond where we are. It takes trust. Here's an example I hope that helps. You've probably even heard it before, but it's just such a good example for a message like this. How many of you have not been in a plane before? Okay, it looks like everybody's been in a plane. You probably even know where this is going because you've heard it before. But you could have lived in a city for 2 decades. It's your first time in the plane. And what happens when you go up in the plane? You see your city for the very first time in a different perspective. Why? Because you're above it all. You're like, wow, I appreciated my city for 2 decades as it is, but I've never seen my city or the ocean or whatever from this perspective. It's so cool to see. Could have lived here 2 decades and you're seeing it like you're seeing it for the first time. What am I getting at? When you connect with God, sometimes it's as if he takes you up in a plane spiritually. And while he's not callously ignoring them, he wants to take you above your circumstances, above your pain, above your emotions, and above your partial view. He does this so we can receive a greater view of himself, of ourselves, of our circumstances, and so on. And when we connect with him and trust his view, when we trust his airplane 12 billion year wisdom view, he can help us within, listen to this, which now can help us respond in greater ways. I've been talking this whole message about how God responds to us in greater ways. When we trust his view, when we trust his perspective, he can help us respond in greater ways. And if that's hard to believe, I hope these verses bring faith to your soul. In Ephesians 3, it says this, "Now to him who's able to do immeasurably," just like spatial distances are almost incomprehensible, like Pastor Mark Batterson was saying, immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine. How many of you have big imaginations? How many of you like to ask for a lot of things? Nothing wrong with it. It's not a trick question. Yeah, all of us, right? According to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Now, if I'm being transparent, I often think about this verse in an outward sense. And I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with that. Man, God, I have a big imagination. So I hope you do more than I could ask or imagine so I can have more outward blessings. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Because to be clear, God can do more outwardly than we can ask or imagine. But recently, he showed me something different. Adam, can you put up the first part of the Ephesians 3 verse again, just the first part? Now, I want you to read it because I need a little help. What does it say after more than all we can ask or imagine? Read it. Work where? I didn't hear you guys. Where? Work within. Within. What we've been talking about for a couple years at OB1. Why we've been trying so hard to share with you guys, connect with God. It makes a difference. Connect with your heavenly dad. It makes a difference. Because as you connect with God over time, as the power of God works within you, he can give you more peace than you could ever ask or imagine. God, I was such a worrier, or I was so trapped, or I was so joyless, or I was so this, I was so that. And I'm not there yet, but man, you're expanding my view. He can give you more joy than you could ask or imagine. He can give you more purity. Some of you, it's hard. It's like all I see is the corruption. I see the corruption at my workplace. I see the corruption in the world. And God can give you more purity within to protect you from that corruption, more than you could ask or imagine. He could give you more patience than you ever could imagine. We all struggle with that at times, right? Gives you more patience than you could ever ask or imagine. Lord, I used to get so impatient about these things, but you're broadening my view. You're helping me respond in greater ways. Or he's giving me a greater perspective. Like, man, I've been in this is it's as if you are talking right now, not me. But man, I've been in church since I was like 9 days old, and I know so many things about God, but now he's like giving me a greater perspective about who he is. Or trust. Man, I just can be so riddled with doubt. And I've been there. Riddled with doubt. And while I'm not perfect and I haven't seen everything yet, I can say that he's grown my trust within. See, guys, our Heavenly Dad is a parent who believes in freedom. And when he treats us in a greater way than others, and we trust him, freedom comes. Okay, God, I trust. All I see typically is conditional love. But I trust that you love me no matter what, so that's what I'm going to try to walk in. That's what I'm going to try to walk in. Or when he gives us greater perspective and we trust him, freedom comes. Okay, God, I just have a really, really partial view. I can see like 0.0009% of the ocean. I know that you can see it all. So I'm going to trust your perspective and try to walk in that. As we connect with him and experience his powerful work in us, he brings freedom beyond what we can ask or imagine. Man, God, I still struggle with worry. I still struggle with fear. But man, the journey that you've taken me on, freedom. Not when we hear about God from a pastor, but when we connect with God and experience him ourselves. So as we close, we're going to have some connection time again, because this is a series about connecting with God. And here's a couple questions. You can ignore them if you don't like them, or if you have something else on your mind, do that instead. But here's a couple questions to get you started. Over the years, what's one way God has grown you within that helps you respond differently today? I'll tell you for myself, it's peace. I'll tell you for Pastor Julian, he's talked about this a lot. There's no secret here. It's freedom. That's one way he's grown your pastors over the years, okay? So what's one thing for you? And then maybe you take a moment to thank him for that. And then what's one way you want God to grow you within so that you can respond differently moving forward? God, I'm so thankful that you did this in me over the years, and I want you to continue to do that. But what's one way you want God to grow you within so that you can respond differently moving along down the road? So take a few minutes between you and your heavenly Dad, the one that sees it all, the one that knows it all. Let's take some time to connect with him before Pastor Steve leads us in song.